Hello everyone, it's day 100. I finished the challenge. This really won't be a long video because I had a pretty long thread post on Twitter. But yeah, I mean, throughout this whole 100 days, I've definitely learned a lot. I feel like my progress is more than I expected for such a short amount of time, but you never know. I think I decided I'm going to continue with the challenge. I'll just have like a little bit different approach though, just because like I kind of learned like what works, what I should spend time on, what I should spend less time on, and things like that. Right now, I'm currently every now and then, like if I still see a entry level job that sounds like it's actually looking for a junior level developer, I'll apply for it. I'm still working on, which I still haven't given it a name, but like it's like a plan, not a planner, but like I'm just called the dashboard project just because the UI looks like a dashboard, basically. So I kept working on the nav bar today. Well, the sidebar, it kind of acts as like the nav bar, and like when you click on it, it'll dynamically create the main content of the page or whatever. So just working with the JavaScript to like highlight the active tab, and then there's like drop down menus inside. So every time you click on another drop down, it closes the one that was already open. So I added that. Now I'm working on, I have like a little caret down button on the right of each nav bar that has like a sub menu. Just trying to work on getting that to rotate up or down if you click on the div, because I added an event listener to the whole div just because it was easier. But yeah, just getting that to rotate to correspond with everything else. Is currently what I'm working on. I'm just getting the UI down, and then I'm going to go back to the planner project that I had started with the Odin project and just kind of pretty much delete a lot of what I have because I like this design better. And then I'll just dynamically create what I made in Visual Studio Code for this. Just so I can know what the UI will look like. Then it's easier to keep all those create element functions and all that. It's just harder to think of a design when you're literally making it on the fly, but you can't visually see what you're doing or whatever. So, but yeah. So what's coming up next? This project is going to include APIs, going to include OOP, Webpack. You know what? I may as well use ESLint. Just because I already went through that section just to practice and to get used to like the strict way you're supposed to write your code or whatever. So I'll cover that. And then for the Odin project, after this, the last section I'll have is for this section anyway, excuse me, in the JavaScript portion will be testing with Jest. I want to go through that just because I've seen it in quite a few job postings, more so the preferred section, saying, you know, kind of like nice to haves if you know how to use Jest. I've used Jest like to create a function using tests that someone else made. I just haven't made or learned how to make the test myself. So that's what this section is about. And then after that section, it's React. So just to give myself more of an advantage, not even an advantage, but just to be eligible to even apply for more jobs, I want to be able to use React. So that's the plan. I took a hiatus from CS50 just because I wanted to work on like my portfolio. And like so far the sections I was in, CS50 didn't really directly help with anything on my portfolio. It's more so just like opening your mind up to, I guess, just problem solving in general, I guess. So, but anyway, I'll go back to that. I think I left off on week 3 or 4. I just didn't do the lab or the problem set for that section. I already watched the lecture. And I also want to finish the JavaScript algorithms and data structures, get that certificate. I'm in the very last section, the intermediate, I think it's what it's called, algorithms. I think I've completed like 8. I want to say it's like 21, 22 questions out of that. And then for the projects, I had already done one of the projects. I don't even remember when I did it, but I got to check in that section. So that one's done. So I got 4 of the projects to do. But yeah, I want to just get that just because to go with the responsive web design certification that I got. I have a React course I bought from Udemy from John Smilga, Coding Addict off of YouTube. I really like his teaching style, and I really wish that in the beginning that I had just stuck with only doing his course. Because looking back, the way he explains things, he has you making really simple stuff like a modal, responsive nav bar, mobile nav bar, accordion, carousel, and then he'll have like 10 or 15 mini projects. Then he'll have like 2 or 3 bigger like website products or applications to make, opposed to like, let's build a e-commerce store. You only make that one project, or let's clone Netflix or something like that. Because it's what I've just noticed, like when you do really specific courses like that, yeah, you learn how to do some you see someone else use these complex things or create these complex things. However, because the whole course is literally working towards just making one thing, it's almost like the examples that they give you is really so specific to that particular project that I feel like for some people it's hard for them to then turn around and apply that same knowledge to actually make something of their own, just because what you did was just so specific to that one site that you made. On the flip side, like John Smilga, he literally has like the most basic stuff. Like every website has a nav bar. Every website has probably an accordion, carousel, mobile. Like, you know how to make all those pieces. All you have to do is just put them and style them wherever you want on your website. So like, I really appreciate his style of teaching. I took his HTML and CSS course. I'm like 80% finished with his JavaScript course. I think I have the e-commerce project left, and then like 5 or 10 minutes of the Stripe, the kind of little bubble nav bars that pop up. But yeah, and then the React course I want to say is like 30-40 hours. But yeah, so I'll still do the Odin project. However, I like the explanation from John Smilga, and then I'll still do the Odin projects just because it's something different. Because when you use a Udemy course, you have the solution right in front of you. So like, you watch the video, and then even if you try to make it yourself, you saw someone else make it before. So it's different than coming up with something completely from scratch with no like guide, literally just the description and here's what your project has to do, XYZ. So that's one thing I do appreciate about the Odin project, is their projects like force you to learn how to make things on your own or whatever. So, but yeah, not sure how long that'll take, but after the after the React section in the Odin project, then I think they have a section on like CSS and Sass and that kind of stuff, which I kind of went off course and dived deeper into HTML and CSS before I learned JavaScript. So what I may end up doing is like skim through that section and go towards like MongoDB Express, just because I want to see what the back end is about. And I feel like my CSS skills they're decent enough. But yeah, that's the plan. I think what I am hoping to do, just because of that long thread that I made today, for the next 100 days, I want to post my work, maybe like every day, just post like a screenshot of what I accomplished for the day or whatever. I'll probably still do a video, but like, I kind of made like a really long thread about showing your work. So I definitely want to show more work, that's for sure. But yeah, definitely enjoyed it. Met some really cool people on Twitter, a couple on Instagram, but more so on Twitter. Yeah, it was cool meeting people like who made the same decisions that I made. So I kind of, when I first started, I thought I was going to be the only one, but yeah. Overall, good time. Definitely would recommend anyone doing the challenge if they're on the fence. Just like I said in my thread, build in public. You won't know how to improve if you don't get anyone's opinion. And another thing, if people build in public, we have to, I guess, be bold enough to give them real criticism. Because like, I also see people will post stuff and they'll be like, oh, great job. And like, it's really not that good. So like at the end of the day, that's not really helping anyone, because then those same people will apply thinking, oh, no one wants to hire me, when no one really told you the truth that your work kind of sucks. So, I mean, that may be harsh, kind of harsh, but I'm kind of a harsh person a little bit. But yeah, like you have to be able to know, like I would much rather someone criticize me now when I still have room to grow before I have a position, than I get that first job and I'm thinking basically I'm the best thing since sliced bread, and my coworkers are like, no, your work kind of sucks. So I know that's just my 2 cents on it. I just see a lot of people like scared to like, why are you scared? Like no bully's gonna come in your house and tell you you suck. Like just post it and somebody says, hey, fix this. Guess what? You probably should fix that. Like perfect example, I was working on my portfolio and I had bookmarked like 2 or 3 jobs I wanted to apply for. I was literally like working on my resume, about to send them the link to my portfolio, but something told me post it on Twitter. So I posted on Twitter and like 2 people responded. One of the other guys is Shashi Who Codes, who did like the portfolio review, told me things to fix. I fixed it. However, I forgot to check it on my actual phone. Cause like I built it, of course, and like use the DevTools and change it to an iPhone, but like it's different than what it actually looks like for real on a real phone or whatever. So I forgot to look at my phone. I would have noticed like I didn't have the position to like 100 min height, 100 VH or something like that. So I think my contact form, something was like floating above everything else and it didn't look right. And then like something else, somebody else pointed out the nav bar, I forgot to center it. So it had more padding at the bottom than at the top. It was really squished at the top. So like if I had never showed my work to anybody, I would have applied somewhere. They would have seen my portfolio with those. Yeah, there were small errors, but like they would take one look at that and be like, oh, she sucks. Let me not pay attention to her application. So that's one reason why you should build in public. Like as much as we look at the computer screen, like we aren't able to see like what it looks like on a smaller laptop, a different browser or whatever. So like those kind of things, other people can help you out, because there's people on Twitter from all over the world using all types of computers, all type of operating systems. So like they're going to have a different experience. You want to make sure that it's consistent, but you have no idea if the only person who sees your work is you. And especially if you're self-taught, there's no one like over your shoulder, hey, you should do it this way. Like when you're self-taught, you're literally just winging it. Like you have no one telling you if you're doing it the right way, which what is the right way? No one really knows. It's we're all here trying to figure out. But like you have no type of direction. You're kind of hoping that you do it right. But like I learned, like I would rather somebody tell me now in my journey, like I said, hey, you should probably do this way or fix things a little bit, rather me getting all the way to the end that I've spent all this time learning to do something one way and it was wrong the whole time. And it's hard to like unlearn it to adapt to the right way. It's better to like get that intervention kind of in the middle of your journey. That way you still can, it's not hard to transition to do it the right way, if that makes any sense at all. I feel like I'm talking in circles, but yeah. Just build in public. Don't be afraid. Like, what are you afraid of? That's the problem. No one that's a beginner is brave enough to show their work. So you don't even know what beginner work is supposed to look like. Like literally, for example, you just learned HTML, CSS. You've been doing it for like a week. Of course, you don't know how to center a div yet. Of course, you really don't know how to align stuff right. It's going to look like a website from 1999. Like that's what it's supposed to look like after you've been doing something for 1 week. You're comparing yourself to others who are already a professional, already on like their second or third round of 100 days of code. So of course their work is going to look visually appealing. They've gone through what you're just now starting a couple times over. So like there's no reason for you to compare yourself to them. Like you're comparing yourself, your day 10 to their day 1,000. It's just not going to line up. The only person you can compare yourself to is yourself. So that's why I posted that post. That same website, I made all 3 websites. Look at what it looked like when I first started my journey. That's the best styling. I thought that was the best website ever. That's as best as I could do. Then the middle website was a little bit better. It was longer, but I literally only knew how to center stuff. I didn't know how to like play with positioning and all that. And then at the end, I'm a little bit more comfortable making stuff. Like, is it the most like advanced website? No, but look at the progression between the first one and the second one, even when it comes to colors, design, functionality, all that. So all in all, moral of the story, build in public, show your work, don't be scared. And I think I made I added a comment to somebody who's talking about imposter syndrome, and I said, you know, it's ironic for someone to feel imposter syndrome because, like, the definition of imposter is you're basically pretending to be something that you're not. So, like, if you're learning to code and you may not feel like you're that great, if you're like, hey, I'm a beginner, blah, 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 why would you feel imposter syndrome for literally being yourself? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It just goes to show, like, the limitations that we put on ourselves for no reason, just making it hard for no reason. Like, imposter would be somebody where you're like, yeah, I know React, MongoDB, and you only know HTML, CSS. That's an imposter because you basically are putting up a front that you know more than you actually do. If you're like, hey, this is my third day of coding, here's what I did, this is not an imposter. Like, just post it. Don't be scared. Post it. All right. Peace out. Day 100.